Good morning. I said good morning. It's messed up. It's 1:30 p.m. and I'm talking about some good morning. See where my head is at. Hey, everybody out there. Welcome back to Full Court Dreams, the Underdawgs Voice, the podcast where every underdog has their day. And every day is a chance to play. I'm your host, Coach Quillins, but you may know me better from the gram as SQ Basketball Chronicle. Today we're going to dive deep with a great guest, not just a friend, but a fellow traveler on this journey of basketball education and, most importantly, storytelling. My man, Sam Buckley.
Yeah, what's up, everybody? So, my name's Sam Buckley. I run a basketball blog, SambuckMDprephoops. That's SambuckMDprephoops on Instagram and on Twitter. This is my second year. I only cover Maryland girls basketball for public schools, something that I'm very passionate about. 16-year educator, former coach, athletic director, teacher, now school administrator. So this is something that, really passionate about. And it's really all about giving exposure to, the young ladies in our state because they do an amazing job in the classroom and also on the basketball court. So my second year, we start off every fall, right after the fall league. We give a preseason preview of all the regions, region 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A. We make some predictions. Then we do a weekly ranking and recap every week. After that, postseason starts up, and then we do a postseason prediction, things like that. So this year, I actually predicted three of the champions this year: Hammond, Holly, and Pikesville. 4A was a little messed up, but 3 out of 4 is not that bad, man. So
we should have been that good on 2A.
Look. Prior to the season started, look, I had Hammond and Newtown in the championship. So,
right.
That was the prediction, man. But, really going to miss this year's seniors, this class of 2024 seniors all across the state. They were absolutely amazing. But definitely looking forward to, the new talent coming in the state. So it's going to be a good year this upcoming year.
All right, man. So you're doing all this stuff. You keeping up with all this without sponsors or anything like that. So that's the real essence of grassroots, right?
Yep, absolutely, absolutely.
Was there any moment that just eclipsed this love for the game of basketball for you?
Yeah, well, you're talking about like this season or just in general?
This in general, man.
Well, you know what, man? Always like basketball been my thing. Like I said, grew up playing sports my whole life in Baltimore. And then once I got into the educational system, started coaching and then being an athletic director in Baltimore City schools, that was real rewarding. But, the real rewarding thing is to see students outside of the classroom doing something that they want to do, something that they're passionate about. And, it's important that we support, our student athletes and things outside of the classroom because, a lot of times that might be the reason why they come to school. We always talk about, what motivates students these days, what gets them up in the morning, and a lot of times for a lot of our students it's athletics, man. So that was one of the things that really, pushed me to do this blog, man. And then just, looking at the basketball landscape, especially girls basketball, I still see the fundamentals of the game. Like,
Right.
It's still a team concept game, it's, so that's one of the things that I really love about it.
All right, cool. Yeah, I think that's one of the things I love about girls basketball too. I started coaching boys basketball. I had your son,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, my son. Yep,
Yeah,
working him out. Yep.
I had your son and stuff, working your son and stuff out. So I really started with the boys, but same thing. Like girls basketball, I love it because of the fundamentals and things like that. So, yeah, that's the reason why I'm still coaching girls basketball.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I would say, man, it's a lot of people that have been around girls basketball for a long time, and like I said, it's only really my second year doing the blog and networking. I mean, I had relationships prior with a lot of coaches around the state, but now just being able to want to give a shout out to my man Al. Everybody know my man Al from 695 Hoops, man. He's one of the ones I was like, man, look, I want to do this blog. This was last year before the season started.
Mhm.
He's like, Buckley, man, that'll be good, man. Because right now, he had the crown for a minute. He was, you got to go on 695 Hoops, follow him on Twitter, on Instagram. But I was like, man, look, I'm going to do the weekly rankings, man. And I think one of the benefits of this year is that when the Baltimore Sun came out with their rankings, man, like it was certain schools that we was like, man, they ain't even ranked, man. Like,
Man, Baltimore Sun know what they doing, dude.
man, it was one of them things like, man, dag, man, how was St. Francis not ranked? How was Poly not ranked, man? So, but the thing is, like, I had Poly number one, from the beginning of my rankings, man. I think I had Poly at one and I think I had Pikesville at two, but it's the fact of the matter that, man, I actually see these teams play.
Right.
Like I seen them play. I know the girls from the AAU. I seen them play in the fall league. So like I know the potential of these teams, man. So it's not just like I'm just going off of other writers or whatever the case may be, man. And the benefit is I noticed towards the end of the year, it's some other publications out there, man, that as soon as I put my rankings up, all of a sudden a day later they got their rankings up and it's similar to mine, man. But you know what I'm saying? Ain't no hate or nothing, man. It's just the fact that I really got a love for the game, man. And when you really sit back and dissect and watch these teams play, you know what the weaknesses are with these teams, man.
Right,
but, like I just like to watch the game of basketball, man.
Man, let me tell you. So they came to 2-hour games. They came to the game against Delaney when we was at Delaney.
Mm-hmm.
Baltimore Sun came to the game when we was at Chesapeake.
Right.
I'm biased. I ain't even gonna lie.
Right.
Like my team went 18-5 this year, and it was at one point we was ranked like 50 something in the state or whatever. And I'm looking at all the other conferences. I'm like, yo, who do these kids play? Like our schedule was a little bit tougher this year, but I'm just like, wow, we so ranked so low. We 18-5, 18-5. And it was like you had teams that was 9-9 ranked higher than us.
Yeah, man.
Right. So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, man. And see, that's one thing about my rankings, man. I take into consideration the strength of schedule, man, because it's a lot of public schools that actually played out of state schools and they played private schools. And my thing is like it's more important to play a private school at St. Francis and McDonough, St. Mary's, or a team, in Florida or Delaware. And even if you take the L, your kids get better.
Mm-hmm.
It's no use of playing, your teams in your conference and these bum teams. And it's kind of like, no disrespect, but it's like you beat them by 60 or 70. Your kids ain't really getting better. You know what I mean? Right. So like, I would rather play, you get your 15 in a conference or 14, conference games, and you got to schedule some tough bump. You know what I'm saying? Outside of that, that's the only thing gonna get your kids ready for the state tournament, man.
Sure is. Sure is. So you say you went from teacher,
yeah,
right,
yep,
to athletic director,
yep,
to principal,
yeah,
in Anne Arundel County,
yep,
and you do some teaching at Morgan, right?
Yeah, yep.
So balancing the role of being a principal with your basketball blogging, how did you manage to keep the game closer to your ear, closer to your heart with juggling those responsibilities?
Right. So one of the things I try to do, my full-time job is a principal, man. My first year being a principal, but I was assistant principal for the previous 8 years in Baltimore City and Baltimore County and in Carroll County, man. Okay. So one of the things I try to do is, as a leader, you don't want to be a micromanager, man. You really got to create the conditions to build leaders under you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things I did was everybody has their responsibilities, right? My APs, you're responsible for this. My department chairs, you're responsible for this. I just got to oversee the things, man.
Right,
so really, the school is going to run whether I'm there, whether I'm not there, whatever the case may be. So it's one of them things when I leave at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? Like I can catch a game or two because I know like my staff, they're going to do what they need to do, right? Because they know, look, Buckley, all he want to do, like he going to hold us to this high expectations. We just got to do what we going to do. And then he got our back, right? So that's really what it is. You really got to create the conditions to build leaders under you so they can take care of a lot of those things. I'm not going to lie to you. 2 nights of a week, out of the week, I'm in the office till about 7, 8 o'clock. So I'm
Okay.
catching up with emails, responding back, doing my newsletters. For my parents, they get a newsletter every week.
Yeah.
My staff, they get a principal's message every morning. Before I leave the day, I type up my principal's message. It goes out at 8 o'clock the next morning. And really, it's like, all the logistical things coming down the pipe, whether it's testing, whether, we're doing this as far as culture and climate, whether, these are going to be, our look fors for this week for our academic informal walkthroughs. So those are things like it's constant communications. And I think that's something that's important, whether it's doing a basketball blog or running a school, you need to be able to communicate effectively. So that's one of the things that, I do. And then when I do my weekly rankings, I always put out about 2 or 3 must see games for the week. And I always make sure I cover 1 or 2 of those games. So that's the way I can always say, well, I've seen this team before,
Right.
things like that.
Right. So your unique insight in
Mhm.
both worlds,
Yep.
like what pearls of wisdom do you pass down to those dreaming of a future in sports management or athletic administration or anything
Mhm.
like that?
So one thing I always say is we gotta put the kids first. You gotta put the egos aside and the kids first. Secondly is networking. Networking is so important. Networking can get you in doors that you really couldn't get in before, and it's all you never know who knows who, right?
Right.
So that's why for me, even though I have close knit relationships with certain coaches and certain athletic directors around the state. It don't matter who I'm in the presence with; they're gonna get my authentic self, and my professional self at all times. So that's very important. So I would say networking, making sure you're open to different things, and then putting kids first, and making sure that through your networking, you're setting up opportunities for kids because if a kid wants to play basketball at the next level, what I'm saying, I might have met a coach last week that might be looking for a 2 guard or a 3 guard. And
Right.
you know what I mean? So, you got to keep those relationships good.
Right. So you at Morgan, right?
Mm-hmm.
So step into the classroom at Morgan, right?
Yep.
You're shaping minds in a whole
Yeah.
new arena, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you bring the lessons from the court into your teaching?
Mm. So one of them things at Morgan, so I'm an adjunct professor. I've been teaching at Morgan since about 2015, man. And same thing I tell my students in the K through 12 setting. In order for you to open doors for your future, you have to have an education.
Right.
And that piece of paper, whether it's a high school diploma, or college degree, is something nobody can ever take from you. It's not like you can obtain it and they take it back. Once you got it, right?
Right.
And I always tell people, that piece of paper is going to open up opportunities for you in the future that you've never even thought of, right? But the piece of paper just gets you at the table. You know what I'm saying? You got to still be a lifelong learner and keep pushing. So those are one of the things that, I tell, my students, whether they're on a court in the K through 12 setting or in a collegiate setting, you always got to push yourself to be greater. And one of the things is you can't be complacent to where you at. And even in the game of basketball, man, like if you know that you need to work on your ball handling, or you need to work on your mid range, or you need to work on your defense, it's like just because you're good in one area and you're a little lackadaisical in the other area, don't mean that you've made it all. Like we want to see the total package. And a lot of times when these colleges are looking at you, like they want a perimeter defender that can shoot the three, or they want somebody that can play the point forward position. So you got to be a jack of all trades. So just don't be one dimensional.
So let's talk about a couple of things, man, as far
Mm-hmm.
as basketball and stuff like that. I know we was off air, we was tripping and stuff like that. Some stuff we might say might make a lot of people mad, but I
Right,
don't care.
right, right, right.
Like the truth is the truth. But so for me, um, start with this podcast, Full Court Dreams. My book is what really got me
Mm.
into doing this, into doing a podcast, because I wanted the underdogs out there to have a voice.
Mm.
Right. Eventually, my whole team or every girl that ever coached is going to be on this podcast.
Mm.
And you mentioned Coach Al. I'm gonna have him as a guest in this podcast because he did a lot for girls basketball in this area for years.
Absolutely.
We're gonna have some other coaches on here talking also. one thing I want to know, like in your time going through everything you done seen, all the teams you done been around, the students you had championed and been around. So have that underdog spirit fueled your journey in blogging, education, and sports leadership?
Mm. So I think the whole thing about being an underdog is is when you create your own opportunities, man.
Mm.
You know, it's like, you create your own platform, right? And what I was looking at before I did this blog, right? I was associated with Prep Girl Hoops, right?
Right.
But then what I wanted to do was, in order to go on Prep Girl Hoops for the regular fan, you got to pay a subscription fee.
Right.
And I'm like, for me, I just want to put the content out there. I don't want
right.
nobody to have to pay for nothing, man.
Right.
So that was one of the things for me. So, it's always important for, if I want to do an article on a young lady or a team, I want to put the article out on them so the masses can see, right?
Mhm.
So it's all about that exposure, because some of our student athletes, like, if I upload some game film or some highlights or write an article, like, I want the college coaches to see that, right? But they shouldn't have to pay for it. So
Right.
I'm all about the underdog, and which is one of the number one reasons why I only do public school. Because I feel like the private school girls, I'm gonna be honest with you, I mean, a lot of them, their parents might have the means, or, a lot of time the private schools, the St. Francis, the McDonough, they get all the hoopla and things like that. But it's some actual diamonds in the rough in the public school era,
right.
whereas though, yeah, like, they can play the D1 level, D2, D3, like, they just as good, but because they're at their neighborhood school, they not getting talked about as much. You know what I mean? So that's why I love public school, man, because I feel like they are the true underdogs, in this society as far as education.
Yeah, and I can agree with you with that. Like, I think um I think in the basketball world, private schools have took over.
Mm.
Right? I coached at private schools, um, and it was okay. It's a harder job than public school because you got to recruit for private school. You want to stay ahead, but a lot of these private schools, I don't know. A lot of these public schools will turn the fur off these private schools.
Absolutely,
Um,
absolutely.
So during your journey this year, like, I don't know if you can say one person, one team. Like, who is your underdog team that you were like, yo, I wish they would just, just go after everybody. Or who is your underdog player on a team? Like, you know what I mean? Like like, because it's always a team. Like, for me, like, even when watching, we got the game in the background, but even when watching the NCAA tournament, right? Like, I like this team, but I want this team to really fight for it. You know what I mean? South Carolina, like, they couldn't.
Right.
But it's like, think about who was it that beat Middle Tennessee State?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I like LSU.
Right.
But when they beat, I think they beat, I forgot what they beat in the first round. But they beat a top team in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
Took them out. I think, was it Tennessee? No, it wasn't Tennessee. It was somebody else. They took them out the first round. Oh, Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
Then they had to play LSU. They gave LSU a run for their money the first half, man.
Uh-huh.
But I ain't gonna lie. And I don't care if you get mad at me. I think the second half from refs like really turned it on with the fouls and stuff and calls.
Yeah.
That whole team almost fouled out the game.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. But so through the year, like, who was your underdog team? Like, when you went around, when you was at a game, you was like, what was that team like?
Man, so it's so interesting, man. I'm gonna be a little biased, right? But this not my answer, right? So, for those of you that don't know, I started this blog 2 years ago, and because I was the assistant principal at Pikesville High, and me and Coach Dukes, we have a personal relationship and things like that. So I definitely have a vested interest in Pikesville. I think, I mean, everybody knows that, right? But because I've been able to travel around the state, like, there was a team, right? And coach, I'm gonna text coach after this. I'm gonna send him the link to this, man. There was a team that I actually picked to win the 4A this year, man, because I felt like they had the pieces, man. They had the point guard. They had three singers. They had, a dynamic shooting guard, who was actually the coach's daughter, man. And I wanted them to win so bad this year, man. When the postseason came, even picked them again, even though I knew Clarksburg and Bethesda was in the same. But man, it, I like Seneca Valley, man, and
Seneca Valley.
I like Seneca Valley from Montgomery County. I felt like this year they had all the pieces, man, and he played a real tough schedule. He played in the 695 Hoops Holiday Tournament, and they lost a tough one to a private, but I felt as though with his, he played in the fall league, and I felt as though his kids was battle tested, man, and like I said, he just ran up against, you know, he ran up against Clarksburg, and they had the lead. And Clarksburg, they just made some championship plays at the end, and Clarksburg ended up winning the 4A state championship this year, man. But that was my underdog team this year, man. And like I said at the beginning, there's so many good singers that are leaving this year. I mean, from Newtown to Poly, Forest Park, Pikesville, Hammond. There's so many good singers that are leaving, man. And next year gonna be interesting, man, because a lot of teams have to reload. A lot of teams who had really good JV teams, those players will step up, man. So it's gonna be very exciting, man. Very exciting. It's gonna start with we got the Best of Maryland coming up this spring. And then, a lot of girls will play AAU this summer. And then, we got the fall league kicking off in September, late September next year. So it's gonna be interesting. But, a lot of teams the past 2 to 3 years, that were powerhouses. I mean, a lot of teams have to reload, man. But so we're gonna see who the coaches are that can, rebuild their programs back up and, make more runs, man.
Yeah, see me, I'm all about. That's all I want is underdogs on my team. Like
Absolutely.
I'm all about development. When I got to private school, like I can say when I got to IND because I was at Pilates for a year, then I went to IND. Um, so when I went to IND, I took a bunch of girls that my JV team. Like, even when I was at Pilates, I had one girl that really knew probably two girls that really knew how to play basketball. Other girls did it. I had a girl that played tennis and a girl that played softball
Okay.
at Pilates.
So they just athletes in general.
For my JV team, right? So I had to give everybody a role in order for them to play well, and they did. They played really well, man. Like everybody knew their role and stuff like that. So I think every team I ever had was an underdog team. Right, except for like this year at Newtown, even though I feel like we was underdogs at Newtown this year. I really did because I don't again we talked about earlier is that to me we was the best team in the county on paper. On paper we were. Sometimes it ain't seem that way, and sometimes it did. But I really think we was the best team on paper, and I think that we didn't get, and not from you, but from other sources, we didn't get the,
Right.
the just due. We 18-5, and like a couple of those games was because I had to discipline people. And if I didn't discipline them, we probably would have won those games. We had a tough game in DC that we played in the tournament in DC. That was a tough game, but again, we wasn't at full strength. So every game we lost, we wasn't at full strength.
Right.
This year. So I think if we was at full strength, we probably would have went undefeated this year.
So you just brought up a point, man. This is something that, a lot of folks that follow girls basketball in the state of Maryland, especially public school, have been talking about for years, man. And you look at some of the school districts, right? From Howard, Baltimore City, Baltimore County, Montgomery County, like we have to do a better job. And when I say we, everybody in the community has to do a better job of, outside of your conference games. We have to start playing one another, man. And I ain't gonna call no names, man, but there's some coaches out here that they will literally duck the bump, man. And it's like they would rather go 20-0, play the 14 conference games, play 6 weak opponents outside the conference, except for scheduling tough games because they worried about, well, man, if I go 17-3, the MPSSA, they're gonna give me a 3 seed, and I really want the 1 seed because I want these home games. But it really shouldn't be. It should be about your girls getting better, progressing towards the state tournament. Because at the end of the day, once you get in the tournament, you're gonna have to play the best anyway. So it ain't like you can duck anybody when it comes to that point, man. So I think we just got to do a better job with that, man. And I think that if everybody put their resources together, we can get it. Whereas though we can get, the top 3 teams in Baltimore City will play the top 3 teams in Baltimore County next year, like out of conference. Like we can set up a little all day tournament where we can get that done. You know what I mean? Because like it just makes no sense. We got to play the same 14 teams in the interconference. Only 4 games might be competitive, and then there's 10 blowout games. Like that's not really, getting your girls better, man. So I think we just got to do a better job of that, and we got to do a better job of, if somebody want to schedule a game, whether it's private or public, man, like we can't say, well, because it's St. Francis, I don't want to play them. Because it's Rhodesdale Baptist, I don't want to play them. Like, yo, just play, right? You know what I'm saying? So we just got to do that, and just because we want to see the best, and we want our girls to play the best, man.
Right. So thinking about the underdog again, what player that you watched this year that you say, man, I wish that girl, like, she's a dog. Yeah. She's not really getting that much attention.
Yeah. That's a great question, man. So a couple girls stick out to me, man. I like young lady. She's a junior at Poly, and I think she played very well down the stretch, man. She's a forward, Brianna Pope. I like her. She's a class of 25. I like her. Senior at Pikesville. I felt like Darielle Weems didn't get enough credit, man. She's an undersized 4. That's what she is, man. And but she's a dog in the paint. Finishes with the left hand, makes free throw.
Tell me.
Yeah, yeah. So like I felt like she didn't get the credit she deserved, man. I felt like going back to Seneca Valley. I felt like Nia Green. She didn't get the credit she deserved, man, this year, man. And it's a couple other players around that I feel like just didn't get the credit that they deserve, man. But I think that at the end of the day, like we got to do a better job of like coaches and athletic directors of putting film out there on our players, getting it out there to these different platforms and things like that so they can get the exposure. Next year, so I just finished my second year with the Sam Buckley Next year, the plan is to get a cameraman at about 2 games. We're going to do the pre-game and post-game interviews for players. Okay. And then next year, we're going to start doing player rankings as well. So the player rankings is something I've never done. I've always done team rankings. I know my man Al, with Prep Hoop, he does player rankings, but I'm going to do player rankings as well, man, because I want some exposure, man. I can't think of the kid at Milford. Milford got 2. They got a guard at Milford. I cannot think of her name, man. She hit the game-winning shot versus Lock Raven this year, man. I can't think of, but she did
real good against us.
Okay, yeah, she's a pretty good player, man. Us, yeah. So yeah, man. So I want to get some player rankings, man. We was talking offline, man. I like the point guard, my man Steve got on JV, man. What's the name, Steve?
I don't even want to give our name.
Yeah.
No, Malone Clark. Yeah, you know what she remind me of? And I told her this. She remind me of Raven Johnson from South Carolina. Yep. That's what she remind me of, man. She remind me nice size, same type of attitude. And I really like her, man. And so just hopefully, they stay at. Cause here's one thing I do not like about basketball is that everybody want to be at one place. Like nobody want to, and honestly, dude, like it's no. I've been in basketball for a while, and I think the dog level, is going down. Because when we was growing up, I ain't want to play.
You didn't
want
to team up with nobody.
I ain't want
to
team up with nobody.
But
like I want to play. I want to play. And that's the thing about me being an underdog. Like I want to play against the best. Like, right. If I lose, I lose. But I'm going there.
But you know what, Steve, man? That's kind of a microcosm of this generation, though, man. You look at it from a professional.
Sorry about the little pause. Where was we? Yeah, I mean, to make it better, because just like you said, you got one team getting blown out by 20, 30, 40 points every year.
Right.
Because kids ain't going to their school no more because everybody want to go. Like you think about the city, right? You got the same people win the championship every year.
Yep.
You know, Poly, Western, Poly, Western, Poly, Western, Poly, Western. Because everybody want to be around, go to the same school. And it may not be anything wrong with it. But for me, I want to beat the best.
Right. But so is a couple caveats to that, right? You look at all the top schools, and we could just stick with Baltimore City, Baltimore County, right? The programs that are winning have coaches that have been there for a minute, right? Right. So it's like the stability of a coach. A parent is more likely to say, well, check this out. Kendall Peace and Bennett Poly for forever, right? And we know her program is a winning program, blah, blah, blah. We're going to get structure. We're going to get this. Her kids go to college, right? Except for if I go down to another school, right? And say the school has a history in general, say it's a Douglas or Dunbar, whatever the case may be, but the coach ain't been there for a minute. It's kind of like you want to go somewhere. Plus, a lot of times, players will follow their coach. If their coach coach AAU, they want to follow that coach. I want to play for my coach. So if the coach that's at AAU keeps switching schools, it's kind of like, one of those things. So it's twofold. And then the other thing, I call it the Kevin Durant thing, right? So Kevin Durant couldn't beat Golden State. So at some point, can't beat him, join him, right? So you had that, right? But back in the day, ain't no way Charles Barkley going to play with Michael. Right. You know what I mean? Patrick Ewing, he ain't going to go play with Michael. He couldn't beat him, but he ain't going to go play with him. So it's just a different generation, man.
Yeah, and I think, like, so back in the day when we was coming up, we had a lot of good coaches at every school.
Right.
So I don't know what happened with the dynamics and changing, right? Because, like, now, like, if you go to a place like Dunbar, but Dunbar coach been there for a while. Girl coach been there for a while. Lake Clifton, I think Money is the girls coach there. But I just think, like, the talent level is going down at each school.
Yeah.
And I think it's because of the structure of the school. Now anybody can go to anybody's school. Now.
Right. Absolutely.
I think it was better for sports when everybody had to go to that city
neighborhood school.
Neighborhood school. I think it was better for sports that way, right? Everybody go to that neighborhood school.
Right.
I guess because of the dynamics and the restructuring of all this stuff, everything changed. And for the kids to have a better education, better education. I want to go with this school because the education is better than this school over here and stuff like that.
But you got to look at it, man. Even in, I was administrating in Carroll County, man, at Westminster High School, right? And when they did this thing where as though, it was kind of like open enrollment or, the open transfer. The thing is, you can go to any high school you want. You just need to have the transportation to go there, right? So at that point, Westminster was a powerhouse in lacrosse. So we started getting all these lacrosse transfers in, all these field hockey transfers, volleyball. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, in other counties, it's different sports. We talking about basketball here, man. But I think what really needs to happen, though, and it really needs to start from elementary and middle school, whereas though we should have camps for all the girls around the county, around the city where they go, and then we can start building up the programs in the middle schools. Right. You know what I'm saying? And then the middle schools, they'll matriculate, right? Because in Baltimore County, they do have middle school basketball and in Baltimore City, right? But it's just the fact of the matter is, it's like, in order to get that program better at the high school level, like you got to have 4 or 5 girls that really can play at the middle school level.
And dude, I already started that.
Right.
So I'm at Deer Park. That's my
Right.
feeder right there.
Right.
I'm in the hallway. You ever played
Yep.
basketball before? No, you want to learn. So I don't mind developing, right?
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
for high school, I'm not worried about winning the state championship. I tell my girls give me 11th grade,
Right.
11th, 12th grade. So when you coming as a freshman, you got 2 years to develop and get better.
Yep.
And that's what I do. I develop and get girls better. I'm not just going to be that. I'm not that type of coach. Well, I'm only going to see you.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm only going to see you when basketball season comes around. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to check up on you, make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do and things like that. So we develop. Develop, man. So I'm looking for my team to be competitive every year, no matter who I got.
Right.
We might not be competitive the 9th grade year, 10th grade year, 11th, 12th grade year.
Right.
You're going to be like, yo, 2 years ago, that girl couldn't even dribble the basketball.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So Steve, here's the $1 million question, right? This upcoming year, 24-25, this team for the upcoming year, is it going to be better than the team you just left last 2 weeks?
I think skill wise, it might be. It might be.
Okay.
It might be.
Okay.
It might be.
And the reason why I asked that to y'all is always a reason why I asked this question, right? You're looking at the dynamics, and for those that follow girls basketball in the state, right? You know, Newtown's a 2A school, right? You look at the teams that made the final 8 in the 2A, right? Hammond, seniors, a lot of seniors graduate. You know, Hereford, their star player is gone. France Scott Key, I'm not sure who they have coming back, but you know, y'all gonna be right there in the thick of it, man. So it's like this. I think this might be y'all year, man, where y'all can take that extra step. You know, win the regional, get into the Final Four, man. Because you know, like we talked about offline, it's like once you win a regional, really the final 8 out of them 8 teams, 4 of those teams are going to be they just won a region, just a weak region, right? So you're really only going to have like 2 to 4 tough teams really in that bracket, man. So
if all our girls come back, nobody transfers. We got our juniors that's be seniors. We got our sophomores that's going to be juniors. Then we got our JV team coming out. Like our JV team was scored average 70 points a game. They went undefeated, 17-0.
Wow.
First time ever happened at Newtown. Their JV team was 17-0. So I had a coach tell me that ain't no JV team, that's a varsity team. So with them coming, I think we probably be better team.
That's important.
With a better team because I don't care how much talent I got because I had a lot of talent this year.
Right.
But I don't think that talent mesh
well. Yeah, the chemistry got to be right, man.
And we had our ups and downs like every team do, and we fought through it, and we still was 18-5. You know what I mean? A lot of teams will falter and fall and drop. You know, after that, but we went through a lot of stuff together, and I've grown to love those girls. And one girl in particular, man, and she's been an underdog on that team for 4 years. Ain't hardly ever get no playing time. I talk about her on my first blog. I talk about her as being like the character in my book. A girl named Jay, like she's been on the team for 4 years. So when I got there, I was asking people about her, and they was like, "Well, you know, she just been on the team. She didn't really get that much playing time. She's just a great teammate." And girl never complained about playing time. Never complained about anything. Cheated on her teammates. Came to practice, ready to play every day. Ready to practice every day. Wasn't never late. Always communicated well with me when she did do something or anything like that. I even told her mom, like, "Yo, your daughter's the best teammate ever." And she's like, "She's the best teammate in my household." The best
big,
teammate
man.
in my household. That's real big. And I said, she don't complain about playing time. And this, I never had a parent tell me this. I don't care about her playing time. I'm satisfied if she gets you minutes.
That's big.
So man. I just want to, you know, I like seeing that play. I ain't worried about how many minutes she gets. She can get 2 minutes. She can get 1 minute. She can get 20 minutes. I don't care. Like she said, I'm just happy that she's getting minutes.
And see, man, we need more players like that. Like we had talked about earlier, everybody knowing their role, right? So, you know, whether you just a person that you go in and you say, go pick the point guard up and you just play scrappy defense. Or somebody, we just need you to box out and grab rebounds.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, everybody needs to know their role. And that's the thing about championship teams is that, you know, everybody needs to know their role and play their position, man. And I mean, if you look at even some of the teams that won the state championships, man, some of these teams didn't even have star players, but they played together.
Right.
They played together and they played the game the right way, man.
And that's why I tell my girls, say, yo, y'all, like, again, y'all the best team on paper, but you're not the best team.
Yeah. Yep.
Y'all got to play together. In some games, man, they play like why we can't do this every game. Yep. And even with some hard teams we played against, I'm like, dude, this need to happen.
I mean, the game y'all played, y'all beat John Curl, man.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That was a big win, man.
That was a big win. That was I ain't gonna lie. I expected us to blow them out. I did not expect for them to come out like that. But man, the coach talk. He's like, I heard you come after people. I said, yeah, I'm gonna come after you. We're gonna press you and press you full court, man, and we're gonna come after you. Then I had to make a little change. I think we didn't press them too much the first. Then the second half we came out and pressed them more and got the lead and wound up winning the game. But we need that consistency. We need that consistency through the whole season. We had a couple of girls that got off the team or whatever that really hurt us this year, but we still stayed in it. And again, we still ended the season 18-5.
Right, that's good, man.
Most teams can't say that, man. But I really appreciate you, man, coming out. So,
no, absolutely, brother. Absolutely.
And joining me on this. This is my first guest on my podcast, but so I really enjoyed you coming out and things like that. So you want to tell everybody any social media handles or
definitely,
anything like that?
Definitely. So you can reach me at SambuckMDprephoops. That's on Instagram and on Twitter. Once again, it's SambuckMDprephoops. I'll be covering the Best of Baltimore, which is coming up this spring. I'm going to be around at a couple tournaments this summer, a couple AAU tournaments. And like I said, next year we're going to do pre and post game interviews. I have a cameraman, so we're going to do 2 games of the week. Okay. So I'll be at 2 games of the week. I'll let the AD and the coach know ahead of time that I'm coming. And like I said, we're going to continue with the weekly rankings and the recaps of the last week and things like that. Also, I'm going to be covering the whole fall league for girls basketball this fall at Pikesville, man. So, excited. I'm excited to see what the senior class of 24 will do in the future, but also excited about, these up and coming teams that's going to be, really soaring in the next school year, man. So, Steve, thank you, man, for having me today, brother.
Hey, no problem,
yeah,
man.
it's going to be,
I really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. Good luck with your show, man, in the future. So, SambuckMDprephoops.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank y'all for joining me. And to all you dreamers and ballers out there, you can test this episode and many more at Coach Q on YouTube and on Spotify at Full Court Dreams, the Underdawgs Voice. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at SQ Basketball Chronicles for all things basketball, from the latest on the blogs to snippets of my book. That started all this. My book started all this. Man. And then the girl Jay, she like. I've been wanting to write a book about all my girls that I coach. Like all them underdogs. She really pushed me. The girl I was telling you about.
Right.
She really, I got it.
Right.
For her and for the rest of my girls, I got it. So, people, until next time, keep those dreams alive, both on and off the court. This Coach Steve signing off. How often you gonna do this, Steve, man?